Welcome back, everyone, to It's After Hours only on it is SoundCloud Radio and YouTube. And now join me on the line is some lady here. Well, you see she has a book that she's already author, she's an adult performer, she's a businesswoman, director, she has more jobs in the federal government, but yet all of them run smoothly, unlike the federal government. I give you the very mild but very sassy and sexy. I give you Miss Cyndi Sinclair. Cyndi, let's start off here with the book. It's called Don't Mess with the Quiet Chick. Why a book? What made you decide to do that? Put pen to paper and go, okay, I'm going to spend hours just writing, rewriting, editing, and just going, yep, I'm, drinking heavily because you need to do this book.
I guess you could blame it on COVID. I had no outlet, living out of the mainstream of where my work is normally filmed, which is Los Angeles, Las Vegas. So, and everybody under quarantine, and I had to have some sort of outlet. So I had been writing scenes, trying to get things in my head to do future videos, and I just expanded it a little bit into a 20,000 word book, and it took off, and now we're on book number 2. So book number 2 just released Tuesday of this week, which was really cool. And it's only in digital form right now in Amazon, so we're working on getting it in paperback. But I'm very excited about it, but it's basically just porn in word form.
How proud of you are yourself, though? Because that's a tough thing to do, write a book. I mean, you get writer's block, you get cramping, you bored. All of a sudden, screw this, I'll do something else. A lot of people don't have that mentality of, just going, okay, well, focus on the book. And you did that. I mean, how much pride do you take in that you wrote a book? No matter what, you wrote a book. You are an author.
Well, thank you. I didn't do it alone. By no means did I do it alone. I have a co-writer, Beatty Hampton, and we just kind of bounce back and forth off of each other and talk about things that not necessarily could possibly be in my life, but the characters that kind of live in my head a little bit. And he can help me expand on those characters. And then if he comes up with certain characters from those characters, we expand that way. So it can expand out. And the Don't Mess with the Quiet Chick series is actually getting very large. It's gone out of my control. It is totally under the Wahida Clark Publications control. And there are a BBW series coming out for the Quiet Chick. There's a male gay series coming out for the Quiet Chicks. I'm not writing those. However, Beatty Hampton has something to do with a few of those. I will be narrating quite a few of them, as long as my voice fits the character. So my first narration will be the Barbie's Adventures, which is the second book. So I will be narrating that one, and we're going to go from there.
You started something. You started a movement, it seems, here, because as you said, it started with your books. Now there's one for BBWs. Now there's one for gays, and there'll be one for MILFs, and then there'll be one for for people in Europe. I mean, how much do you enjoy the fact that you created something? I mean, you're not sure what yet. It's still in the early stages, but you are creative. This movement that all of a sudden now there's more books, more outlets, and everybody's sort of just opening up.
Yeah, Beatty Hampton has actually taken this into a different direction, because I had a series called Cyndi Sinclair's Not So Bedtime Stories. And within those stories, we had a nun character that came out in the second book of the Don't Mess with the Quiet Chick series. And that prompted his ideas to do a totally separate series, which is, a lot of porn. I don't have anything to do with it. I'm not sure if I'm even a collaborator or even a technical advisor on it. But I just seen that he's coming out, and the whole thing is about dirty, naughty nuns. So I'm pretty excited. So maybe I'll get to narrate that one. And I just got a nun's costume, so we'll see where that goes.
how tough has it been for you these, let's say, last almost a year? Because you're, as you mentioned, you're in the heart of COVID. So you're in that LA, Vegas area, which it's been shut down. And forget about porn, because that's a whole different thing. I mean, how tough was it, in the beginning where you can't go out to breakfast, you can't go out
Well,
on a run, you can't, all these little creature comforts you took for all of us took for granted, we couldn't do. I mean, how tough was that losing all that, early?
well, I don't live in LA. I live in Arizona. So, and I live in a rural area, and I had taken a job in what they call Vanilla World, being an administrator on a construction site for a solar power plant in March of last year, as a matter of fact. So I had to show up for work every day, and I hired 400 people throughout the summer. So the whole COVID thing really didn't like impact the rural area where I'm at. Yes, it's a serious flu and serious sickness and all of that, but being in the remote area, it had a different world to it, a different feel to it, a different life to it, I guess you could say. So I basically worked the entire time until October of last year. And so with my lease, I couldn't leave the rural area, and I really didn't want to go back to the city because I had heard about the masks and all of that. And we do have some stores that require you to wear masks out here. But for the most part, it's really relaxed. And so I figured I'd just stay here, live out my lease. And in order to do that, I had to have work. So I went back to camming. So I'm basically full-time camming now, full-time promoting my book. I do what they call Sext Panther, which is sexting, and I do phone sex. And I think there's a video option on there now we're looking at. So along with the camming, it's a lot of work. And so I've scheduled these scenes coming up for content trade. So it's something that I get to edit and sell myself on my own platforms. So I'll have a threesome coming up on this Friday, and then possibly an orgy on Monday. So we've got some things in the books to hopefully get some content out there for my fans and keep things going, keep it fresh.
How tough was that for you when, as you said, it didn't probably affect you in your regular life, but affected, I'm guessing, your porn life in terms of you probably had stuff lined up last year. Hey, I'm going to go to XBiz. I'm going to go to AVN. I'll probably go to Exotica somewhere. Nope, all those things have been put on hold. They've been canceled. For somebody like yourself, who you rely on the hustle, you rely on going to these conventions, shooting content, networking. How tough was last year? And like, it literally was a wasted year. Like, you're looking, going, crap. I have all these plans lined up, and it just couldn't do them.
It wasn't exactly what I would call a wasted year. I did go to the 2020 AVN Expo. I wasn't up for awards or anything like that for any means. But I did join the AVN Stars, so I did get to be on platforms and get to push my wares, but my book wasn't out yet, so that hadn't gotten started. So I am a superhero, so I have a comic book. So that's it's a whole different world, but it is Cyndi Sinclair is a comic book character. She is Eden Van Helsing. So I got to push some of that along with a lot of the DVDs that I'm on the cover of. So I did spend a week in Vegas, caught the COVID in January 2020. And I was very, very sick for, it seemed like a month. So from the end of January till like the middle of February, I was sick, recovering and whatnot. So COVID hadn't really like come out, and we didn't know. I just thought I had the flu. And so March came around, and I got a contract from Team Skeet to do some work with Perv Nana. So I had done some scenes with Alex Jett for Team Skeet for the Perv Nana site. And then I did some content trade with Chris Rail within that very same period. And that was the last time I went anywhere to go shoot last year. So Team Skeet had contracted me to do a shoot here. as long as I got some talent that was here. And we shot a couple of scenes for Team Skeet. I'm not sure if it was for the Perv Nana site or not, but I only had 2 paid gigs the whole year. So that was it. That was one of the impacts, and one of the other reasons I started writing and camming again and getting my name back out there. Because I have been camming for 5 years this month, so it's my camiversary. So I have to have multiple sources of income. Because I am older, and I'm finding it's more difficult to get a mainstream vanilla job again. I'm not sure, they can't find me in my porn world with my real name, so there's no crossover there, and that to me doesn't bother me. If it was, it might bother them, but to me, I don't care. So
what got you into this in the first place? Like, what made you decide to get into the adult industry?
I had needed another source of income, and I also needed to be able to stay home because I had a dog that had a lot of issues, my Bailey dog. So for anybody who follows me on Instagram or Twitter, y'all know Bailey. Bailey needed a lot of surgeries, and he needed to have home care as well. So I had a basically almost full-time job, and I lived with my boss. So he didn't charge me rent while I took care of my dog, got all that taken care of. And he knew that I had somewhat of an open kind of minded lifestyle, so to speak, but I wasn't in a relationship by any means. And he had suggested, hey, what about modeling? And I didn't know anything about it. So he brings it up on his computer, and I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. And then I had seen, oh, well, who's gonna want to see a 50-year-old woman? Because I was at the time, so 6 years ago, I'm 53. So, I'm like, who's gonna watch a 47-year-old woman get naked? I mean, who wants to see that? So it took quite some courage and a lot of courage actually and some encouragement from some people. And the very first time I clicked broadcast was March 2016. And it was the most petrifying thing that I had done thus far in my life. And I used to be a high angle rescue trainer. So all of that to help pay for my dog's vet bills.
If you're just tuning,
short story long.
hey, we love those kind of stories. If you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we get it's Cyndi Sinclair here on the show. We're talking all things, of course, her books. We're talking getting into the industry. We're talking a whole lot of things here about, well, just her orgies and everything, which you can check out her website once again if you have not seen it yet. It is, you go on, and what is the website, so I don't screw it up here?
It's Cyndi Sinful, and it's spelled the CYNDICYNFUL.com, CyndiSinful.com. It's trademarked. I have it all trademarked. It was something that I had, because I run a business, so as soon as you get your name out there, somebody wants to, try to take it from you once you get something going. So
what is it like? I was gonna say, you earlier you touched upon like who wants to see you when when you're 47, 50, and yet you're shooting for SCORE, you're shooting for big companies. What is that like when you get it's the perks, I call it? You're flying you down, they're doing the makeup, you get a nice spread, not McDonald's, like decent food there, nice little hotel. I mean, how much do you enjoy like, ooh, this is pampering time? I'm getting pampered. I like this here.
Well, that has only happened once.
Hey, that's one more time it ever had happened. So hey, you're doing something more better than I am.
And that was actually my very first experience, was the whole everything, and it happened so fast. In 2018, I was recruited for SCORE, and it was a whirlwind, and it happened so fast. I didn't have time to change my mind, and I think that's the whole idea, So they were like, yes, we like what we see on your pictures. Could you send us clinicals? Which clinicals are just basic, no makeup, no nothing, just naked, and that's it, you know? And so I sent them that, and it seemed like within 24 hours, they had sent me a little, so to speak, contract, provided I passed the blood test and the STD test. And so they had scheduled the STD test very fast, and that they come back extremely fast. So it all seemed to just happen like one day after the other. And I was on a plane from Utah to, because at the time I was working in Utah, from Utah to LA. And I'm being picked up by a not necessarily a limo, but, you know, a nice town car, and taken to a decent hotel. And the next morning I'm being whisked off to Stormy Daniels Studios out in LA. And no, I didn't meet her, but she was there. And no, I didn't see her because she has a studio in the back of her property. And it was a volatile time because, you know, it was 2018. And so I guess we were like leaving when 60 Minutes was coming in to do her interview and whatnot. So it was an interesting time. But when I got there, it was the whole makeup and the hair, and, you know, and what kind of music do you like? What kind of food can we order you? And it was just really personable, really, because it was just the makeup artist, the photographer, and me. And so we got started, and the makeup was all done. And then they told me what they wanted me to do. And I was petrified. I was absolutely scared out of my mind about everything that was about to happen. But I had gone to some seminars to learn about the industry, so I knew it was really safe. And then Logan Long shows up while I'm doing one of my masturbation scenes, which I'm not sure if, no, that's not the one that wound up on the cover. So I'm doing a masturbation scene when the male talent shows up, and it's Logan Long. And I don't know him. I haven't watched MILF porn. I don't know anything about it. And so we got to talking, and I had been camming for a couple of years, but I had been single for quite some time. And he had started, talking. He's telling me that I was really pretty, and that, you know, he didn't really need to use his phone for whatever, because I guess they carry, you know, encouragement pictures on their phone. And so I said, well, that's very sweet of you. And I said, that's kind of nice. I said, I haven't had sex with, you know, in over 4 years. And he's like, what? I said, well, you know, I'm a cam model, so I have toys and I, you know, do that. And he's like, do you know who I am? And I was like, no. And he's like, you know, at the time, he was the second largest white cock in the industry, in the straight industry. And I was like, oh, okay. The producer leaves the room as we're having this conversation, and he said, well, he goes, we don't want to waste anybody's time. He said, do you want to see if it even fits? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So we were seeing if it fit as the producer came back in the room, and he said, well, that answers that question. And it wound up being on the cover of Glazed Cougars 4.
Last question before I let you go. We've talked about loss. This is a little more serious question. How tough is it explaining to people, like friends and family, what you do in terms of not, you know, the sex, but you're constantly, you know, working on this business, whether it's writing your books, whether it's editing your videos, whether it's setting up shoots. You have an orgy, you got to email people, you got to get the camera, you got to, and people think it's easy. Oh, you're on the internet, you're playing with your phone, and you can hang out for a weekend, you can hang out for a day. It's, how tough was it to explain to people, like, this is like this is my baby. This is my 24/7 baby that always needs attention. I can't leave baby alone for 2 hours or else baby dies. How tough is it to explain to people what you do and how much time you need to do this?
It's extremely hard because they see the glamour of the so-called OnlyFans, which, you know, everybody's got an OnlyFans now. And they see some of these OnlyFans artists posting their incomes, and some of these OnlyFans artists have like $20,000 and $30,000 a month incomes, and they just automatically assume that because you're a porn star and you're on the cover and, you know, your name's out there and you're doing all this stuff, that you automatically, you've got all this money, you've got all of these friends, you've got all of this stuff. And to explain to somebody that, you know what, I have less than 100 OnlyFans. I have to push this 100% every day of the week in order to feed myself. And they just assume that because of who you are and what you've done, that you're pampered and that people take care of you. And it's not the case at all. And so when you try to explain to them that sometimes, you know, you get a little lonely, because when people meet you and they know you and what you've done, they've seen you naked, and it's hard for them to separate that into a friendship. So it can be more difficult. I had a little bit of a difficulty with one of the publishers of the books, because he had gone on to one of the sites when I was doing my cam shows and had watched me for a while. And it still makes me a little uncomfortable because I have business to do with this person, you know? So I try to keep some of that a little separate. Because my cam shows are really personal, and they're me, and that's, you know, that's me in my room, and I'm, you know, doing whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. I don't expect somebody that I'm conducting a corporate business transaction with to be in that room watching me do that. So there's still some things I like to keep.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I give you, she's a performer, a cam model, a director, and now best-selling author on Amazon. I give you, it is the beautiful Cynthia Sinclair. Cyndi, before we let you go, where else can fans check you out? I have a Twitter page, mini vids, my fans. Where can fans, you know, buy the book? Like, where can fans hit you up at?
They can buy my book on Amazon. It's out. It's available now. The Don't Mess with the Quiet Chick series. On my Twitter page is Cyndi Sinful. My Instagram is Cyndi Sinclair 2019. Only one eye. I do have an imposter out there. You'll know my page when you see it. There's almost like 13,000 followers there, which whoop. My many vids is Cindy's Place. So I'm out there, and my OnlyFans is Cyndi Sinful. So, and it's CYNDI CYNFUL, Cyndi Sinful. So, and that's also my email. So people can get a hold of me anytime, and I do try to answer my emails when I get them.
Cyndi Sinclair, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are proud to have her on the show. We come back, well, we got a lot more going on here, only on It's After Hours on SoundCloud Radio and YouTube.
Thank you.